Welcome back, moviegoers, to another edition of Going to the Movies. Today we are in Torrance, California to hit the spots from She's All That, which is from 1999. We're kicking off a 1999 series on the channel. It has been 25 years since that great movie year, and I want to celebrate many of the movies that came out then. And we're going to get into She's All That right now. She's All That was mostly filmed right here at Torrance High School, and what you're seeing is the hallway of the main building. We're going to look at all the different parts of the school they used throughout this video, as well as hitting the other locations used for the filming of the movie.
What's happening, Connie?
He spoke to me.
He called you Connie. So, your name is Melissa.
Hey, Jesse.
Hey, Laney. See that date line on sewage dumpers last night? I taped it.
This is the famous courtyard at Torrance High School, and it's shown in the beginning of She's All That. It's not really used that often in that movie, but you might also recognize it from Not Another Teen Movie, which heavily spoofs She's All That, and also shot in the same high school. I think this is where they did their bet scene, where they find the ugly girl, which is really just a hot girl with a ponytail and glasses. But you also would probably recognize it because it is most famously used in 90210 and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She's All That opens with a couple of Steadicam shots of Zach Seiler returning to school after spring break, and this one shows you the courtyard where he meets up with his friends. My recreation isn't perfect, but you can see the fountain, the bench, and those stairs back there where Luke Perry first shows up in 90210. Zach's about to find out that his girlfriend, Taylor Vaughn, played by Jodie Lynn O'Keefe, met somebody else while on spring break in Florida and is breaking up with him. That was all filmed in this courtyard next to Torrance's home ec building on the north end of the campus. And by the way, they're very used to people coming in and taking photos, so if you're a location hunter and a fan of anything that filmed here, but you're worried about access, the gates are open for a couple hours every day after the students leave, and they don't mind people stopping by for pictures and videos. When Taylor's explaining what happened, they flash back to a pool location, which is supposed to be in Daytona Beach, and they transition into that flashback very cleverly. In this shot right here, they're actually already at the pool. They built some set pieces to resemble the school, and then when the camera pans to the right, it's revealed that they are now on the pool deck. It's a lot more creative than just using a boring dissolve. Now let's head up to Malibu and check out that pool. As a massive Real World fan, I wish there was some way I could actually watch this fictional season 2 that took place in LA. The real season 2 did take place in LA, different cast obviously. Matthew Lillard was supposed to be kind of like the Puck character from the San Francisco season though. But this wasn't the Real World, this was more like an MTV spring break kind of scene, so let's break it down. I wasn't even going to consider looking for this location, but I was watching the director's commentary and he mentioned that it was filmed at a Malibu mansion's pool. So I thought, you know what, Malibu's not that dense. I'll go ahead and look on Google Earth, and I found the same shaped pool. Turned out to be the right spot. Only took about 5 minutes. Now they're facing away from the mansion in the movie, so you don't actually see it. And that was torn down in 2018, along with the pool house, which you do see in the background of this shot. Again, that's gone, but you can see this mansion in the background. That is still there. It's just covered in trees now. And just in case you're doubting it, here's a view of that mansion from the background. And if we zoom in on our screenshot, you can see everything does match here. The roof, look at the distinct windows on the left side of the house. I think it's pretty obvious. Here's the view from all the way down at the bottom of the driveway. Not sure what's going on with this property. It hasn't had any home on it in about 6 years. Must have been pretty incredible back in the day. All right, we're back at Torrance High School. We're gonna look at some more spots. I'm now joined by Brian from Reel to Reel Locations, who's the biggest 90210 fan I've ever met. That's right, it's got on tape. #1 right here. And I probably not the #1 She's All That fan, but I'm a big fan of She's All That. And so we're gonna break down the scene where everyone's kind of starting to figure out that Zach has been broken up with, and you see Usher talking about it on the school's radio station. And those shots were actually filmed in Chicago because he was recording music there. So that's the only thing, as far as I know, that was filmed outside of the Los Angeles area. But let's break down the bet section. So right here in the middle of campus, in between the industrial arts and the science buildings, are when the bet is actually made. And if you don't know, She's All That's plot is the Pygmalion plot, where a guy tries to take a poor girl and make her fit into high society. There's some sort of bet involved, I'm sure, with that one. I don't know Pygmalion very well, but I know that the plot's been used a lot of times in a lot of different teen movies, and I believe My Fair Lady. For the bet and She's All That, Zach has 6 weeks to turn a girl of Dean's choosing into the prom queen, so Dean looks for the most repulsive girl he can find. The first girl is by herself blowing bubbles, which is kind of weird, but it's not as bad as they act like it is. Second girl's doing nothing but eating a sandwich. And the third girl, well, this one is pretty bad, but everyone knows this teen movie trope. They go through all the terrible options before deciding on the most disgusting person they can find. At least that's what the movie wants you to believe. In reality, it's a beautiful actress hiding beneath usually nothing more than glasses and a ponytail. In this case, Rachel Lee Cook, with the added ugliness of paint-covered overalls. The area where they spot her is the top of a stair set leading up from Torrance High School's administrative offices. All right, so that's the bet. He's got to make Laney Boggs the prom queen. Now we're going to head out to a couple of spots on Melrose. All right, we're on Melrose Avenue for a couple locations, and I'm not sure what the store was in the movie. You don't see the front of it or anything like that, but the Playground LA is that building on the left, the black one with the circular thing on top. And that's where Taylor, Vaughn, and her friends were shopping. They walk out, and they walk to about this Glam Squad building and tattoo parlor. And I'll do one still matchup so you can see. Just one block back behind where Taylor and her friends were shopping is Brooklyn Projects, which was the falafel restaurant back when they filmed the movie. I don't know if it was a restaurant, but this is where Laney worked. Brooklyn Projects is a skate shop, so of course the interior looks very different now, but we're going to take a quick look inside. You can see that a portion of the wall has since been cut out, making the space bigger, but it's back here where the counter was located, where Laney takes the order of the guy, contemplating whether or not to supersize his falafel balls, and here's what the entrance looks like today compared to when Freddie Prinze Jr. walked in 1999. Something else you can barely see through the window was the distinct-looking thrift store Wasteland across the street, and that is still open and operating to this day. Our next location is the theater, the Performance Art Theater, and it was actually filmed in 2 different places, the entrance and the inside, and then where they exit is a different place. So we're gonna start with the entrance, obviously, and that was right here. So this colorful building right here was where they entered, and it looks nothing like it did back in the day, but I did find something interesting. So there used to be a door right about here, and that's where the shot was taken from, and you could see the 2 posters on the left side and the one on the right. That's all you really get to see of this building and She's All That. However, that club, which was called Moguls at the time, also stood in for the Mud Club in Night at the Roxbury. So there's another shot of this building as it was in She's All That in a different movie. They had these ornamental gold things at the top, and you can see the door towards the left side with the poster frames, the 2 on the left and 1 on the right of the doors. And you can see the tip of one of those ornamental gold things on the building at the top. I found a ton of newspaper ads for shows at Moguls, but I couldn't find any decent images or video of the interior at the time. I did find this video of Modest Mouse playing there in 1997, but you can't really see anything. Then I found a YouTube channel called Strange Ways Tribute that posted pictures from a John Frusciante show, which actually turned out to be a surprise Red Hot Chili Peppers show. And here it kind of looks like this padding matches that spot right there. However, the bolted down chairs make me think this could have been the screening room that Moguls had. When they exit the theater, they're actually a couple blocks down now on Hollywood Boulevard, right behind the Roosevelt Historic Hotel down here. And they come out of this door here, and then they cross the sidewalk, and the camera is pointing in this direction as it follows them down to the corner. And right here on this corner is where Zach tells Laney that she has beautiful eyes, and she doesn't react well to that. She thinks he's got some tricks up his sleeve. And you can see the Chinese theater marquee behind him, though it doesn't look like that anymore because they've built out the Chinese theater. It doesn't have one of those classic marquees anymore. Also, none of this part of the complex was here either. We are now in Laney Boggs' neighborhood, and I've got some good news and bad news. I'll start with the bad, get that out of the way. The house has been completely gutted and looks very different right now. It's got a fence around it. So a lot of the matchups I had planned on getting are not going to be possible. There is one I could do where you can kind of tell it's the same place because the frame is still there. Now that's the good thing. So when they do end up refurbishing the whole thing, it could look very similar structurally. It's just going to be very new. Right now, it looks pretty bad for a matchup shot. The other good news is they didn't film inside of that house, but they did film inside the house across the street.
That's good news because that means the staircase from the most iconic scene from the movie is still intact, and if you look at this real estate photo, you can see the banister, though painted, is still the same one. You can see a portion of those panels on the wall as well, this triangular one, and then the first square one. Also, take a look at that fireplace back there. That's the same one visible behind Zach in this shot from the end of the movie. Here's an image of the kitchen where you can see the counter where Laney's standing while on the phone. The bay window visible behind Kevin Pollak incorrectly guessing the Jeopardy questions can be seen on the left side of the real estate photo. They also used the back area of this house towards the end of the movie when Zach and Laney are dancing by the pool. This is probably because the other house has an ocean view, which wouldn't make sense for Laney's house as their family was supposed to be kind of poor, though she does have a pool. You actually do see the exterior of this house in the movie in this shot. And here's a little bit of its driveway and one last matchup attempt.
Yeah, definitely hard to match up screenshots when you're just looking at the guts, but Laney Boggs' house. A little disappointing, but I'm just glad it's still here. Now let's head out to the beach. There's an entrance to Torrance Beach about 10 houses down from Laney's, but instead they decided to come up here to Leo Carrillo, which is about an hour and a half away. But I'm not complaining about it because it's beautiful here. There's a lot of cool rock formations, and that can sometimes make it more difficult, but sometimes more easy to match things up. So we'll look at some matchup shots. The scene's when Zach takes Laney to the beach for the first time, and then his friends show up, and he tells her, you know, I guess we gotta start introducing you to my friends at some point. Right up there is lifeguard stand number 3 on Leo Carrillo Beach, and you can use that to figure out where they came to hang out. So those were the stairs that they came down. They're still there all these years later. And this is where they started to tan, up against the rock wall here, the cliff. Before the friends showed up, Zach and Laney came approaching the scene from this side of the beach. And then towards the end of the scene, the guys want to play volleyball, so they convince the girls to come play and they go off on the other side of this cliff. So we'll go check that out over there. All right, so this is the general area where they were playing volleyball. It is really, really hard to match up shots here, and I don't know why. I've been here before. I came here with Jordan once from Nash Files to visit the final scene from Fast and Furious 7. So that's 2 Paul Walker scenes in 2 different movies filmed here. But you see those 3 rock formations right there in a line with the 2 spaces in between them? You could see those in the background of a few shots. Now, the volleyball scene isn't all that interesting to match up because there's so much motion with the camera, so the pictures aren't very good, but it seems like some of the rocks are gone, or maybe the sand is like way higher now. I don't know. Rocks of this size just don't disappear, I don't think. There's definitely a lot more water erosion on the Pacific side of the country, but I am perplexed. There was a couple sitting on a rock formation, and that is just nowhere to be found. Too bad those rocks are gone. I mean, you could see that road there, that pathway collapsed at some point. So maybe that has something to do with it. Tree's still up there on the ridge though. As the day went on while they were shooting, the sky got grayer and grayer, so they actually color corrected the sky later in post-production. Whenever I use movie location websites as a resource rather than tracking down the spots by myself, I like to credit them. So I wanted to give a shout out to cineguides.com. Found a bunch of She's All That locations. I don't know if it's a he or a she, but check out the link to the website down below. And thank you to cineguides.com. All right, next up, we're going back to Torrance High School for more scenes that were filmed there. This is about the point in the movie where Laney Boggs is becoming more popular with everybody. They're starting to like her, and she's nominated for Prom Queen. From here, you can see they switched the name of the high school to William Henry Harrison High School, which I think is a funny president to choose for a high school. The shortest term president ever. He died of pneumonia because his speech was so long at his inauguration in the rain. Are there high schools named after William Henry Harrison? There's gotta be, but probably not in California. Yeah, She's All That's not the most original concept. It's not the most original plot for a movie, but I think it does have a little more charm than your average teen movie. M. Night Shyamalan ghost doctored this script. It was a rumor for a long time, and the director confirmed it in the commentary. I think maybe he added a little bit more prestige to it. I'm just talking about a notch, okay? It's not winning any Academy Awards, but it's still likable, a great cast. I just love the movie. What can I say? Next up is the soccer field behind the school. And Zach is out of it mentally. He's practicing, but he kicks the ball over the net. All of his buddies are disappointed in him. So it was right about here in this little area where they did the freestyle rap, the two guys and the beatboxer, in support of Laney's nomination for Prom Queen, as Paul Walker watched on from up here. That scene was planned, but the rap was actually created by the guys you see in the scene. This building right here is the Cafeteria Annex, where we had the scene with Kieran Culkin getting bullied by the Shermanator and his buddy. And Zach makes him eat his own pubes on a pizza. They were not real pubes though, those were those fibers that come off of corn when you shuck corn, little stringy things. They changed the color on those, and that's how they achieved that prop.
If you watch She's All That a lot, you might remember a pretty significant yet subtle cameo in the beginning of this scene. Sarah Michelle Gellar was filming Buffy the Vampire Slayer on the other side of the school and dating her now husband Freddie Prinze Jr., star of She's All That. So they asked her to do a cameo and she agreed on the condition that she wouldn't have to say any lines.
Fresh ground pepper. What, too cold?
All right, next up, we're headed to the prom.
This is the Cerritos Performing Arts Theater, and this is where they had the prom for William Henry Harrison High School. You remember that huge dance sequence they had in there? That whole thing was choreographed. Even Harvey Weinstein, who was producing the movie, was like, why would they all know the dance? It's not a musical. But the director insisted on it, and I kind of like that scene. I'm gonna go and see if we can get inside to get more matchups.
Guys, I'm sorry I recorded that next to a loud fountain. That's twice in one video. But anyways, I made the unfortunate mistake of driving out to Cerritos on a Monday, and it turned out the box office was closed. This place is like an hour from the center of LA, so it wasn't the smartest move. I tried again the next day and found out the box office doesn't even operate out of the lobby, and they were gonna have to run it up the flagpole to see if I could be allowed in. You can see I did get in. Someone eventually contacted me and said I could stop by during a graduation to get the shots, and look how fun this graduation was. At this point in the movie, Laney's found out that Zach's initial interest was all just because of the bet, and upset, she agrees to go to the prom with Dean, aka Paul Walker, instead. Shout out to the Cerritos Center for the Performing Arts. This is one of the big locations from the movie, and I don't know if I would have done the video without the chance to show you the inside. I really love this location because it looks like it was just built, but clearly it was here in 1999, and it hasn't changed a bit. There's even a payphone still here. This place actually opened in 1993. Frank Sinatra was the first person to perform here. They've had a lot of other big names since, as you can see on their Wall of Fame up on their third floor. That's the same floor where Eldon Henson's character Jessie meets Zach Seiler's little sister, played by Anna Paquin. The prom photographer was also on the third floor at the opposite corner from the Wall of Fame. Here's a matchup with Dule Hill and Gabrielle Union. The dance sequence was all choreographed by Adam Shankman, who went on to become a big-time producer and director. I can't play it for copyright reasons, but the song they danced to was, of course, Fatboy Slim's Rockefeller Skank, a song the cast would get very tired of by the time they finished shooting. The last spot I'll show you here is the bathroom where Jesse overhears Dean's plan to take advantage of Laney. I let the graduation crowd clear out before bringing camera gear into the bathroom. I checked every men's bathroom to make sure they weren't all the same, and I was able to determine they shot this scene on the first floor. Once Zach finds out about Dean's plan, he races off to find Laney.
After prom, Zach goes to look for Laney. He drives down Sunset Boulevard, and you see him drive past this Supreme store, which was actually the famous Tower Records at the time. You see that behind the car, and he continues to the left. So we'll go that way too.
Can I have a cameo?
All right, we continue down Sunset Boulevard, and you see the Roxy real quick in the background. You see that marquee there. The Rainbow Room is also visible. Easy shot to get because my Airbnb is right up there behind it. And then you see this building here on the left, which is actually to the right of the red Sunset Strip sign. Still looks pretty much the same as it did in 1999. Pretty cool. After this, we wind up back at Laney's house. And I've already showed you everything there, so I think we'll go ahead and close it out. This is our final location. We're back at the school for the graduation scene, which they have on the lawn. That's sort of in this like triangular parking / street thing that's in front of Torrance High School. One time I went to my cousin's house and they were all watching it. I was a kid, I was like 10, and I was like, what in the world is this guy doing naked at his graduation? That would be so embarrassing. I can't believe this movie exists. But then I watched it later and I loved it. So it was right here on the front line, about where that memorial is now. You can see the sign back there. It's newer, it's updated, but it's still in the same spot that it was in the movie. And that is the final scene. All right guys, thanks for watching another video. Make sure to click like and subscribe. If you want to see more filming location videos, I've got another one right here for you. Also, I got a playlist of all of our filming location videos. Don't forget, he just can't handle not being in camera. He has to be in the frame. Anyways, I'll see you next time.